the game, so it didn't go get Hap, so Hap's gonna have to wait just a little bit longer, but hey, we've got a good game of Siege. Yeah, Milosh is back. Earlier we were blessed by Jess, and now we're bleloshed by Milosh on the desk.
Is this the first time we've ever casted together?
No. You, I, and Jackie did a TriCast.
That is true. That was a while ago, isn't it?
No.
Well.
How the turntables?
How the turntables, indeed. BDS and Team Secret, and we go to the classic coastline, see how it goes. Thatcher's out first, Maverick is out second.
Gone.
Yeah, a bit of an oddity, but that's what you kind of go for nowadays. Defense ban, a Valkyrie, I guess, or a Mira.
I'm gonna move my chat. Sorry, you keep going, apparently.
Warden. Ooh,
That's
cool.
a spicy one. That's a spicy one. We'll break that down.
Expecting maybe some Ying play, not sure. That was Secret's ban, so they banned Maverick and Warden. Thatcher's out, and last in... Come on, you gotta go Mira. Qaed.
They banned Desert Shoe, is what production has just said into my ear. Warden equals Des. He doesn't like it, so now we're going to make sure that it sticks.
I don't think Warden likes
Honestly,
it either.
I was thinking, because Jess was talking about Alibi earlier, I was like, you should cosplay Alibi in my brain. I didn't say it out loud, but in my brain I said it. Because Jess also plays a lot of Alibi. And then I started thinking, I was like, that would roll on. You would be Maestro, which you've done, or Qaed, or any of the aged, burly, bearded operators that fit the thing. Apart from maybe Blackbeard, because nobody likes Blackbeard. Tim, I don't need to say it. Hap Flores, which we've seen. Dez is Warden. Fresh. I mean, I kind of just want to make him one of the British operators because he's so British. Like, it's not really a specific thing. Imagining his voice coming out behind one of the masks or whatever is always the funny possibility of like smoke or. We're talking about.
What sort of mask are we talking about in this?
You know, with any of the English operators masks, okay. I think, because it's fresh. And
yeah, Coolio. No.
I bought time.
Yes,
and then I would be Ossa or I would be Valkyrie, whichever. I would do either.
You would make a great, wonderful Valkyrie.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna put it out there, but there's the Warden ban immediately in action. Secret is bringing out the Ying in round one. Makes sense. Exactly what we talked about. Yes.
They did this in NA. They, SSG, played with a Warden ban and ran a lot of Ying. It was a bit of a conversation, in the words of Lycan, funky bans. And that was something that actually led them to a big bit of success recently, SSG. It's something where some teams have tried it. You expect it as a bit of a play. But look at the map we're on. It's coast. It's so short. It's so sharp. It's so quick for a Ying to want to get in.
It's such an odd setup. You have a Ying, a Yana, a Buck, a Twitch, and a Monty that's in play. So you can hide behind the Monty and then, you know, negate that worst weakness of the Ying, which is, hey, you're vulnerable when you're throwing in your Candelas, and it's countered there. That's why you're seeing also the Wamai in play, the Jaeger as well, and you also have the Tachanka to try to zone things out. Perfect counter to that Monty pick.
Now, Slepen's trying to cause some problems underneath for Shaiko, who wants to find his way back in via office. He's just going to put a bit of an eye and an angle through the bullet holes, but they haven't quite got the catch. It's a spray, actually, that Rafal suffers first on the windows. They're just trying to find a little pocket of space here. Secret, the drop, and the swing round. A fantastic take as they double down. Shaiko swung on, finally stopped by Gomfi, and there's a second lockout for Gomfi. Suddenly, that double from Shaiko has been slightly negated now. Without the Monty and without the Ying, can the two remaining players pull the take they need to? Not connected. Renshiro keeps the vibes as cool as they're advertised on the wall and locks it off and puts them into a 3 versus 1. And we find the round tapering to the canisters of Tachanka.
The Shumika launcher is doing some work with that modified Mosin Nagant. I'm wondering how that bolt is still functioning, knowing how those rifles are not really reliable, but there it is. It's got one player on the other side, and there's 3 on the BDS side. It all came down to Shaiko getting those opening kills, taking down the Monty, and opening things up on Cool Vibes before the final dive came in from the Wamai. Backball trying to salvage this round, but every single rifle is trained at that doorway, and even the Wamai is looking for a piece of the pie. Couple bullets in, and Rafal, with a quick burst living up to the name, takes him down. That is round 1. Complete control for BDS.
That was it. It was the play on Shaiko. They had 2 bodies, inside and underneath it were trying to keep a control of him. They obviously had the twitch on blue bar window, which was, I believe, the first engagement that Shaiko was able to win. And then it was the swing, 3 of them going for the Monty. You're not really going to be able to survive that when you have the drop down from the top rope, the swing on the side of the stairs, and then down underneath. You can try and press yourself against the wall as much as possible, but it just takes a sliver of a side to show for a split second before you meet your end there, poor Kendrew. But they're going to see if they can repeat it and bring a bit of repetition here as they go for the kitchen take with pretty much exactly the same lineup, still with the Candelas, still with the Monty, but do they have the ability to make it work?
You know, one thing that I've noticed with Secret over the past few weeks is that it's tough for them to know when to get out of the lineups that they're picking up. And sometimes it looks great when it works, and when it doesn't, it looks like that first round. So I'm wondering if they can make this happen, because unlike back in the day, you can't just go and plant on that doorway into stock, into kitchen. You have to go deeper in, and it's usually in positions where the defenders will have more things locked down and more angles on you as you're trying desperately to plant. There's a lot of work for Secret to do to push the defensive BDS out of power positions inside of the double bars, inside of that entryway. And maybe then, kitchen would be open for a plant.
Well, the first approach is going to be here in Sunrise. There's a single wall with a lot jammed onto it. That's going to be the battle around the side of Pillar. The Malusi of Renshiro is going to be the first port of call. Going to try and hold on for as long as possible, but there is the body above too. If they want to try and get a bit of control from the hatch on Hookah, I believe that is open as well. Now, as they see if they can steady this Monty all the way in, it's Packball that's going to try and keep that body off that hatch and spray from above. Renshiro is going to try and put a bit of a fight back in, but with the huge dedication of utility, it becomes this game of Secret seeing if they can take the push without having to burn the push as well. Pulled back, forced into the heat of the kitchen as they hand over Sunrise, but still with a bit of the control and the verticality, that's where Secret's eyes need to go next.
Not too bad timing-wise for all the work that's done within a minute. Despite, having the Monty, which usually slows you down, but no! Shaiko comes in again, there's nobody watching Kendrew going solo through the bars. And another one for Shaiko! No, this cannot happen! That's Packball down, and Gomfi taking a lot of damage with Renshiro cleaning him up. Rafal with one more, and my god, the Ying is left solo. Keenan, what can you do? Nobody's watching, where are the drones?
It's unfortunate, and I think that's the only real word for it at this moment in time. The hatch ended up actually being locked. There was nothing they could do, which is why BDS handed the ground over so quick, regardless of the amount of stuff they put in. But, I mean, not knowing, not checking and not pulling the fight towards the top there. Leads them there every single which way. At this point, it's just a moment of time, really, for Keenan as he gets forced probably further and further out. He's not going to hand it over, but there's nowhere to go. Alems locks it off, built on the back of Shaiko, yet again opening the round with a double.
I'm sorry, this is the same thing that's happened twice. Drones, there were around 7 in the beginning there of the round. Nothing was giving info on, what is it? Cool Vibe Stairs, the most basic of power positions that you will always be facing someone there. And there was literally one. Shaiko was the only person playing on Cool Vibes and up to that second floor. This should not have happened. Secret know it. They were so focused on executing their strategy, at least in my opinion, that is, with the Monty, with the Ying, that they forgot those basics. Go through the checklist. Chat, if you're listening right now, what is the most basic thing to do when you're playing Coastline or any map? There is one floor where the site is, and there's a floor above it where there is nothing. You would expect players there. So you clear that top floor, you use that vertical play to your advantage, and you take a W. And this is not what happened here, getting those 2 kills. And M, you talked briefly about that vertical play and how important it is. None of it's here.
I think that was it as well. The cost was Secret didn't have somebody instantly to try and put the fight back on to Cool Vibes. Sure, there was concern. Kendrew was caught out actually checking that the courtyard and the door of blue, nobody was playing inside there, which, to be fair, at the time, nobody really was. But Shaiko had the perfect timing that time round and swung round to get the drop on Kendrew, who was then removed from said round. So, how do you bring all of this intel back into something that you can try and formulate something, because it just seems like Secret are a little bit of a step away from the game that BDS is playing. They're a little bit behind, as you said. The drones and the intel isn't quite getting the catches that it wants to, and they're not quite able to catch revenge for their drops. It's 2 rounds in, they're now up against a clash inside Office. How will they change up beyond this big swap of Kendrew off the Monty and the Ying gone too?
Yep, both the Ying and the Monty off to get the Lion and the Finka, the 2 operators introduced together. Guess what? 3.5 years ago, would you believe it? It's been so long.
Old.
Yeah, that was my first Invitational when it was shown, and oh boy, I can't believe that it was so long ago. So yeah, now you get the clash on the other side. Secret couldn't do anything with their shield. Can BDS do much with theirs? There's the E1D easing the way in, but Playday will find the first one on Kendrew.
Packbull is able to get a bit of a trade there, but the swing round from Playday gets the second. Gomfi at least gets Shaiko. It's blow for blow this time, with Sleben finally putting Secret in the body advantage here. The clash of Rafal is a bit isolated from Alem's. Going to see if they can get the read on the information, but Gomfi has one idea, and that's to try and put the diffuser down the swing on the door. Just can't get the connection that he wants to, and they find themselves in a post-plant. Alem's dropped from Gomfi. One more for Gomfi, and I believe a triple or a quad gets them the round.
Gomfi, our Belgian player here, putting the team on his back for the round, getting the plant down, and making sure that all is locked in through the one doorway where work could be done. You lost 1 player of the entry, but the E1D froze players, your opponents of BDS, enough for Secret to go in and actually have some tangible control over that site. And yeah, the clash couldn't do much. She was portioned off in blue bar. This was a push into yellow, and you know what, you can move in, take control of the bar, go for the plant, even if it's relatively exposed there, but does the work. Secret fixing issues relatively quickly here, but you're looking at least a 3-3 to a 4-2 attacking half on Coast. There's a while to get there still.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is what we've seen from Secret was a rough opening. They came in with a Warden plan. They came in after watching. I still think SSG were a bit of a lead-in on the potential of this, but in fairness, it is a thing that other teams have tried before. It's just most recently, that is what we're citing as our reference. And they came in with a loss of 2 rounds because it didn't quite connect, and I think it's fair play for them to move off that, go to a game more akin to Coast, and realize that, well, what they wanted to try wasn't quite connecting. There's still also the chance. Maybe if they get a couple more rounds under their belt, or at least 1, they might be able to find some confidence to make what is a play that requires a lot of confidence to work. A Monty Ying is something where you have to go all the way in, and those first 2 rounds of Secret were a bit skittish.
I'm quite curious about how the Habana will be used up in this case. I'm just very curious about it, where they'll end up using it. Kendrew showing us that he's someone that has so much experience competing in here the past few years in Rainbow Six that he can flex onto whatever operator is necessary. He went, from a Monty to a Lion to Habana. That is a wide selection of roles that he's bringing up, and there's the Habana being used up. It's going to open up some interesting lines of sight here, just enough for the attackers to utilize and push people out of their power position inside of the bar.
Now, I'm not sure if he just found a way to split the 2 there to go.
That's quite interesting,
down.
Isn't it?
Like, because you can do that sort of thing.
There was a knife in the middle and it split it.
That's it. But like, I know that sometimes if you hit something, they can ricochet off in certain angles. To be able to hit the top and the bottom like that, I don't know if that was intended. Either way, it's the hand that is going to be played for here, because it didn't sound like, he shot off 2 and break 2. Otherwise, there'd be 4 on the wall here, though. The Twitch is going to get the read on Shaiko, who's playing off on the other side. They go for a little bit of an aggressive swing, but it's just a fake Iana that's seeing if they can bait out the push. They disappear, and now it's the fight on the window itself. Shaiko is a man happy to play in his isolation, but as the pressure starts to come over the top, more and more ground is going to go away from him. Secret are still concerned with the potential of the swing on windows, and seeing if they can formulate a way to wrap around the loose player is the most important part, who's been able to slip into blue.
3 players know exactly where Shaiko is, and they're going to decide to just not care about him at all. This might prove costly if it takes them a while to react, just because there's a Nitro Cell in Shaiko's hand. You can do a lot of work from below if you choose to ignore him. A lot of damage done to Playday, though, in the meantime. He's got to be careful. They need his Shumika launcher to zone out Team Secret before they can go in for a plant. And there's just enough time to make things happen in many ways for the attacking side. A secret here, they still have to be careful about Shaiko, who's just now being droned, and Lem's going on the wide rotate through luggage.
Shaiko suffered a bit through the floor, but the C4 as well was caught in an angle he didn't want it to be. There he goes. They drew some attention with the push and the pressure above. Kendrew gets one more, and suddenly they have a really good advantage. But only about 30 seconds left. As the Shimikas start popping around the corner, the Finker boost is going to give them a little bit more wherewithal, as Playday is quite close to dropping. Renshiro drops one, the trade comes off, and suddenly it's only Rafal left. As Secret's able to recollect the diffuser. Rafal takes it, drops it, and the worry right now is Secret's really far away, but they're close enough to the man rather than the diffuser, and they're able to get their second round.
Smart from the Yana the whole time, rotating through that entire side of the map to jump up where necessary. That is a lot of map consciousness that is happening. There's a lot to take in information-wise for Gomfi, but he put himself in the right position. It's nice to see Team Secret looking a bit more relaxed, smiling, despite the fact that this is a tough game. You're playing BDS, a team that can pretty much do anything on any map. And you go up on Coastline where your aim is gonna have to be on point. And it seems like, at least so far, they're able to keep up with BDS even on their attacking side.
It's a great game from Gomfi so far. And I think that's the main thing here, is because he's a player who so massive amount of potential, that's almost a sentence, has a massive amount of potential and is so integral to a map like Coastline, where you need those big gunners to show up. Because if they don't, well, it goes the way of Coastline, which is into the hands of gunners. If it was a map that was more structure heavy, it wouldn't potentially be one of the biggest sort of problems for a player like Gomfi to not show up to the level that he is so far. But here, it's important, it's integral, and it's vital for them to try and keep pace with BDS, which, as you said, is a very good gunning team. They're finding their way back towards Hook. They're going to double it down and see if they can, I guess, put a little bit more pressure on from the start, potentially, with Renshiro heading below.
I'm quite fond of that Tachanka play with his DP27. You know, walking around, just opening up as many holes as possible. So the smoke of Rafal can just focus on other things that he needs to do rotation-wise. That's something that the DP27 gives you as an advantage as a team if you're not willing or in need of running on a Rooney, for example, which could be a very strong operator pretty much no matter the site, no matter the map. Close up, and Lem's almost spotting the twitch of Slubben on the rotation, but looks like things will calm down. They're still going to have to deal with him downstairs in bathroom, but right now Secret just opening up that lounge as best as they can. E1D comes up, and Lems is still in. Not sure if he was droned yet or not, but map control is happening from the opposite end of those sites.
It's dangerous for Keenan right now, because if he's not droned, you're wondering what Keenan was watching there, if he was potentially waiting for a run out to happen so he could pick up a freebie and sort of bait him on the rappel, or otherwise he's trying to find the information elsewhere. Lems is going to stick down there, though. That's going to allow Secret to slip their way in. Obviously, the Jaeger doesn't have the destructibility from underneath to cause some problems, so he's just going to have to try and find a rotate. But a well-timed rotate, especially with Shaiko, uncontested at the minute in office, is going to be something that will buy him some time, because now Shaiko can start trying to apply some pressure, although Lems doesn't have any explosives. Shaiko sure does.
Got to deal with that some point in the future. It is quite an oddity to see a Lems running the Jaeger in this case versus Shaiko that we're so used to in the past.
They throw him around. I know Rafal had a game on the Jaeger. On Oregon, he plays it a bit, and you know, it's BDS. Whoever wants to go.
It is the most basic of operator. You fire, forget, put in your ADSs, and your coach is going to tell you where to go with that. So we'll see. We'll see how best you can get that working on your side. So Secret still spread out, awaiting their play onto BDS. They're really taking their time. We're hitting the 50-second mark. Lower than that, before any action, it's got to get real tight here, Am.
Now, as the E1D pops off, they're going to try and see if they can get a close swing here. BDS have got themselves more locked in as the diffuser starts to try to go down. The Shamika's over the top, don't quite get the kill they do. Kenny could not hold on with the smoke there too, but suddenly Shaiko at least gets one back. Lems doubles down. Those two Rowan players are able to make the impact on the site itself when it matters the most. Keenan is going to see if he can try and take the fight back round on the opposite side, but he's lost a bit of the site there as they're going to try and reconvene. But still, with Shamika's and now with Kendrick so injured, he's not going to be able to stick and brave through any of those. More pressure, more swing, and more danger as Shaiko locks it off. The change of the hand of the diffuser now as they go for the push and the fight through the smoke and the fire, but they can't quite make the flames match over the billiards table. One more goes down, tries to creep to pick up the diffuser. It's just a do and probably die situation right now as Slevin is on a sliver, but it doesn't last till the end. BDS find their third.
Shaiko collecting the last kill, keeping it calm, and he just spawns a bit of the character just coming out through the smoke. Team Secret took their sweet time, but again, it's trying to deal with that Shumika launcher. It is so powerful in how well it zones out your opponents. It lasts for so long. You have so much ammo that you can use. Yes, you need to reload and recharge, yada yada. It's not like, like Kappa Tower, you can very quickly fire in with your bolts, but you have so much sustainability, which is why I'm saying it's unusual for me to say this. Like, yeah, 50 seconds is still quite a bit of time to maneuver. You can do a full rotate if needed in that time. It's still fine at the top level of play, but because there is the Tachanka in play and how the Shumika is being used in this case, 50 seconds is just enough to go in for a fake, pull back, another fake, pull back. And that's not even accounting for BDS doing their own play off in the distance with a Lems undetected on the Jaeger for so long. I think if you're taking this long to set up for a take, you at least have to show that you took out the one lurker in a Lems before you start making it happen. But there's that timeout done, and Team Secret will, hopefully for them, feel a bit more comfortable as we go back in to game.
Now, as they're trying to find themselves with an even turn of the half, obviously, Coast, historically, attacker, favor.
4-2 at the half is...
4-2 at the half is... It's normal. It's a bit of a danger. I will say with the Warden ban, it's something that I think at least leaves a little bit more in the pockets of the defense because, Secret tried to do that to do a play. The play didn't work, and then they've pulled away from doing that now, which is, these moments, it's a pocket play, and it hasn't worked, which does translate to, sure, BDS could start running a Ying and could start trying to put the pressure. It's not the most common thing that they do, and BDS they're French cool. They're more likely to want to run their own thing. Like, I do not care. They'll just do their own thing. And
I will have my bottle of wine.
We are taking coastline. How you want to? They'll do that, and that's fine.
Remember where we work, Em.
Yeah, that's good. That's fine. That's great. That's what they want to do, and I think that means Secret at least have a little bit more on their defense. 4-2 would be dangerous. 3-3 could not be the end of the world, and that's why this round is so important.
3-3, of course, still gives an advantage for BDS once they go to their attacking side, but at least it's some solace rather than going in 4-2. But, it all comes down to what Secret can bring, and in this case, they swap away to bring the Zofia, and, of course, the Valkyrie is in play. An easy spot there to detect with the Valky's Lems and Renshiro specifically in the past. The two players, specifically Renshi in this case, that plan so much Valkyrie over their years and years and years of competition in Rainbow Six. And here they're at it again. I'm surprised that it took this long to see the Valkyrie in play because usually she's banned so often. But hey, maybe she won't have much of an impact. That is Secret's hope in this.
Well, they're trying to see if they can get the smooth entrance here, droned in ahead for the vertical control. There's no immediate pressure on them as of yet, but there is two C4s in the pocket of Alem and Renshiro, and they've already spotted at least a Valk Cam, so they're well aware that she has some of these eyes and intel. Alem himself isn't in a position to actually utilize his C4 as of yet, but Renshiro is making sure that he can as he slips his way closer and closer towards this potential pressure, and Secret are busy setting up their own internet network.
And actually, I think that C4, that Nitro Cell, is the biggest reason of why we're seeing the Valkyrie in here. Other than the info that she gives, of course, with her Valk Eyes, it's also the fact that in the last round, Alems might have felt, hey, I would have loved to have a Nitro Cell here instead of just having the rifle. And that's why you see the swap. And Rafal is taking up the Jaeger in this case. So you see the role swap, the operator swap. just so those players get what they need in the right situation late in the round. Our Secret are taking their sweet time here with vertical play, something we sorely wanted.
Yeah, and they're putting their eyes towards VIP. They're putting their eyes towards the most dangerous aspect of this take, because that is most likely where somebody's going to be with that C4 underneath. They're holding themselves steady for now, but with less than a minute left, they're going to see if they can try and find this first fight. They are yellow pinged, and they want to make sure that they're suddenly under pressure, but the smoke isn't moving. They're sticking in for as long as possible. Gomfi here has this grenade. The flashes to burn out any ADS, hits the man themselves, drops the grenade. Goodbye, Playday. Good night. Popped off one canister, but with 30 seconds left, that'll dissipate, and they still have the chance to try and scream their way in from service entrance.
A clear way to go here for Team Secret, finding the entry that they have not been able to find so far in this matchup. And Playday goes down. There's one more, though. Renshiro answering back on Kendra as he's swapping around frantically, trying to find some information to relay. 12 seconds left. Slevin taking down Shaiko. There's the FAMAS doing work, and he does it again against Renshiro. Makes it a 4v2. Diffuser not set down yet, and it's dropped on the floor, but there's the refrag. Another one going for a Lems. Nobody's picking up the diffuser, and it's left on its own. The kitchen doorway, and it's stuck. Unfortunate there. The one player sitting inside of the bathrooms pokes out at the last minute. There's a big flush going down there.
And that's the conversation. That's the danger about having everything happen so late, is they only really had a minute left for the actual push, and the first kill came around the 50-second mark, which was the body on the doorway itself, and they only had about 2 people try and push their way in because they had so much else they still had to watch. They still had to have concerned eyes towards the rotation on the lobby. They still had to have the verticality from VIP and Cool Vibes in the backside there to just sort of create a mantle and a network of safety. BDS took out one aspect of that would have won them the round, but if the diffuser was in a slightly different place, if it was on a slightly different player, if it was on the Finker we saw screaming through the side at the end, it could have been a 2 versus 1 post plant. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, didn't. 4 versus 2, BDS go into their attack.
All those kills were happening as Secret are outside of the site with 10 seconds left. Had somebody been, like you say, on site, it would have been a bit different, but the players from BDS that were left were literally sitting inside of kitchen and a bathroom. So they had full reign to control who walks in, and unless you're doubling up and just presenting yourself one by one, it's easy pickings. You don't get here by not being some of the best aimers in the entire world in Siege. And I talked about the Aruni before. There she is in play. There's the Valkyrie as well, and the Legion as well. So a lot of information being brought in. The Aruni not only gets you information with the Surya Gates, but also gives you destruction with her passive, and also gives you kind of a secondary Jaeger, because you force those attackers to use utility on the Surya Gates so much that this one operator can bring, and Keenan's rocking it.
BDS, what can you do on your mantle of attack? Now, it's a wide hold, and they're going to see if they can make their first point of ingress potentially around office. They're keeping a close eye and a close angle and hoping that the rotate actually comes from the security monitor's side first of all, and the pressure that they put on above might be the cause of that. Renshiro, he's steadying his way across. He wants to start hitting the hammer down above the hold inside office, either force them away or force them into a fight. Whichever happens is going to be that beneficial lead-in, steadily droned, thoroughly checked, because it's also the dangerous game of if they're in a close corner, well, you never know where they might pop up from coast. It's quick, it's sharp, it's aggressive. In the right hands, it can be just a nightmare for keeping control of rotations.
So, Rafael using up our new Twitch unlimited range. You can quick fire 3 rounds before they got a charge, and also jumping about.
It's like a car salesman.
Honestly. This
bad boy has so many zaps in it.
So many options, so many zaps in it. Exactly, fits so many zaps in it. And Kendra is just poised up on top of the bar. No Drix in here. Renshiro is going to keep on chasing, but the Legion's already fallen back. And, you know, Goo Mines, you always want to set them out outside of the site first, and then closer and closer as the round continues. And Slevin finds the opening at 1:20, and it's Renshiro to go down with control of that top floor taken out.
They've done very well in just navigating themselves into a bit of the control on service here, but actually trying to get the execute needs to be a bit of a lead-in because those canisters are still in pocket. The angle rifles still might work against Playday. He wants to do his usual deep dive and see if he can get the diffuser down. They're a team that is consistently trying to make sure the objective does not get forgotten about. But with the double down and with the pressure not actually coming in or able to come in from Sunrise or Cool Vibes as of yet, it's too dangerous for the swing. Gomfi, great take on a Lems there across the middle and the core of the courtyard, and that's got to be that little bit of an idea for Shaiko to start trying to apply the pressure onto the door of the site itself. The swing around the back. Kenny has the rotate round. He's able to try and find a fight outside, but Shaiko locks it off. 3 versus 4, 30 seconds, pack pull. Doubles down and keeps that mantle of control in their favor. Shaiko is looking for somebody to fight, but he almost gets dropped just on the way through over the top of the shield. Can't quite get it. Gomfi's still playing around the lobby and the desk itself. Another canister pops. They at least still have the diffuser now back in the pockets, but only 20 seconds and a lot of utility left. It's going to have to be Shaiko seeing if he can go nuclear. However, with the sliver of health and Gomfi on a very tight watch on any second or sliver of movement or rotation that goes across, well, that happens. The diffuser's dropped. Shaiko can't quite find the next fight, gets locked off, and Secret get the first.
You can't keep letting him get it away with it. Shaiko got so many kills, low on HP, in control of Kitchen, but finally closed off, and Team Secret inching closer and closer to tying up with BDS. That was a very efficient and effective play on defense. They had great control. They were spread out correctly in the map, and kudos, because playing BDS, when they're on the attacking side and fired up, they went in 4-2 at the half after their defense. Honestly, it's going to be an odd one, but potentially a defensive-sided coastline for us to witness today.
Imagine the scenes. Imagine the stats, but I imagine that...
Imagine the Reddit posts.
Imagine the Reddit posts. I think, obviously, you know, the map had some work done. Not a huge amount, just a little. Maybe they had the hair did, the nails done. You know, they got themselves a little bit swooshed up. But it's not
pizzazz.
A little bit of pizzazz, a little bit of a new coat of paint.
Yeah.
But nothing major. However, little tweaks can sometimes have bigger repercussions. Things like the hold on the take that they were trying to get there. There's obviously been a change in where that wall is located, how far you can sort of drive yourself in and have safety, because it used to be the mad dash behind the wall that gave you a little bit more cover and support. Where Shaiko had, if it was the older map, they could have charged the plant in, baited out some of those canisters a bit early, which would have had to be played, but then Shaiko had the watch on. It might have been a plantable situation. Here, New Coast, it wasn't possible. It wasn't able to have the plant down where it could have easily been previously, and there you go. Secret were able to keep a hold.
Limited on the site rotation so far for both of these teams. Of course, it is Secret's second round on defense, so they've gone for the classics so far. Kitchen first, now going for the Sunrise and the Blue Bar. You know, the bit of coat paint, but honestly, that couch in Sunrise is kind of tacky, and I think it needs a bit of a remodeling.
Let's get rid of it.
Honestly.
Well, they got rid of the camera instead. They tried their best, but never hire BDS to do your removals. They're Siege players. What were you thinking, for goodness sake? Here, though, they're trying to do their best impression of removing the players as they see if they can just steady the Secret boys away from the hold that they're in. Alems is able to sleek and slink their way a little bit closer, but actually pulls back to try and get the buck in above Office, see if they can force them out, as Renshiro is trying to get some utility behind the bar itself.
So there's that top floor destruction. The buck is definitely in, and not just that, doubling up on soft destruction with the sledge of Renshiro, an operator he's very well known for playing in the past alongside this buck. Lems is bringing the Twitch, the Yana. You got grenades aplenty to use, and 4 in total. You got Claymore and 2 sets of flashbangs to deal with any Surya gates that come out from Slubbin. So there is quite a bit of flexibility when it comes to utility. And right now, at the minute-and-a-half mark, there's only 4 drones left for BDS. I really want everybody to take a look at that top left side to have that info. But in the meantime, with no info, Gomfi swings wide and finds one onto Alems. Actually, I see no info, but look at that.
Yeah.
If only you had an operator that could help you deal with this Valkyrie, or just ban her outright.
It's all right. The camera in the bar is making sure all the patrons are closely watched and looked after. But
that was it.
They've had enough to drink, drop the bottle, drop the camera. In 50 seconds, they've got to start thinking about how they're going to drop onto the site itself. They've obviously lost Alems. They've lost one of their 2 soft destructs, but with the camera, another one, still getting all the pops and peaks that not quite confident to go for the swing itself. Shaiko is forced back out. He wanted to go with the pressure and the aggression. He was able to play so well before. That grenade doesn't quite lock off Gomfi, but half a foot over, and it would have been the end of his feet. Keenan suffers just under the window. They get the final lock off, and Shaiko is really eyeing up the eye of hopping inside right now. The cover on the door, though, isn't quite there. Got to wait for a little bit more clarity to come. Shaiko suffers as he gets hit over the top of the window, dropped as he went for the swing and picked up, and they're using the body as bait. The shotgun goes close to the Habana holes there, hoping that they're just going to scream in as soon as that disappears. It was a great double jiggle there, but Slevin has the cover. Playday is going to try and stick it on the far corner. It's a 4 versus 3 versus 2 as they go for the pop over the top. They just lock it off.
Great play there from Secret to rotate in and deny the plant from being sat down. Honestly, a ballsy move from the smoke to lie down and try to do work on the floor. And honestly, Habana did so much work. There's no way. He quick peeks through the door very quickly and then goes directly aiming at the smoke. Your shotgun can do nothing against the Bearing 9 even in that distance, apparently. You just have to believe in your M59 to do its work. And we're tied up, ladies and gentlemen, 4-4. My friends, and what will happen here as Secret look to switching up, going from the Clash to the Castle. Kendra making everybody laugh in the meantime.
Keep the mood high.
Honestly, that is something that, having somebody on the team that really keeps the mood high is very important.
Yeah.
I wonder if we have someone like that in EUL talent.
No. Hap, he's currently away. Hap and Medics. They're the funny ones.
Hap has some of the most
infuriating lines. Yeah, I'm saying this, and I know for a fact his Benelux boy and brother, Easy, is sat on the sofa like, no. Hap, no.
Are you serious? Are we talking about the same Stein Happers? Yes, we are. He's very cute and very funny, by the way. Just to put it out there.
Yeah, just advertising him. And he's in a well. 4-4. BDS versus Secret 4-4. They've been able to pull it back. They've been able to get some more rounds under their favor. BDS still have their timeout if they want to take a moment to talk, but they're going to see if they can apply some momentum onto the third site itself. Hey, look at that. Who did you want?
IQ!
She's here to try and find those Valkyrie cameras that were causing at least some problems. Not all the problems, but at least some problems.
The Nomad and the IQ in here. So that's going to be... I'm actually quite excited to see how that turns in because we don't get to see the IQ that often anymore. She's had a bit of a change for her gadget, but in my opinion, at least, that mostly impacts ranked play where it's easier to communicate information because you get to see things more clear, the actual outlines rather than just a beat. So great in that case. Maybe a bit more clarity in here, and specifically to deal with those pesky Valkyrie cams that I talked about before. Also with the bonus of being able to spot out those bandit batteries and take them down. Shaiko already took one out, and that's Keenan. Another one for Renshiro on the pack bowl, and suddenly we're in a 5v3. Renshiro dropped on the floor, but it might not matter as the finisher might never come in for their opponents of Team Secret. Grenades going wide and right onto Keenan. He takes so much damage. How's the castle still alive?
Is able to pull themselves back there, and obviously you could see that they wanted to go for the swing and the double drop with that Gun 6 to take care of the camera, but with Renshiro going down, quick snap decision for Shaiko, who is still this driving force for BDS this game, regardless of whether he's been able to win the fights or not. It's this consistency at making sure he's putting the pressure onto the point that's actually clawing BDS into a lot of these rounds. Sleben with a great take onto Playday on the other side will put the diffuser down, and they're going to use this moment to get a player back up. Just saw the elbow of Rafal. Can't quite get the connection that they want, but this gives them a moment, not for very long. Renshiro's back up and he's out for blood revenge. Gomfi is the next of the board. The grenade bounced to the close corner through the drone hole. Doesn't get the man who Sleben has pulled himself further back. There goes Kendrew, finally dropped on the other end, and one more pickup and a fight, and it's BDS going ahead once again.
And there it is. There's the opening that we see within the wall. Used effectively in here. You don't really want to use that opening just to try to get into the VIP lounge. More often than not, it is better to just open it for line of sight, as if you have the window that was there in the past. That is the fresh coat of paint, one of the small changes that we've had, but has been instrumental. And I was thinking, you know, we haven't seen this penthouse play just yet. It came in, but Renshiro opened it. Shaiko opened it wide. Renshiro got dropped early on. He got picked up by the end of the round, but Shaiko got the perfect opening. The IQ did the work, deleted all the utility that you could have given so much information, and it's very clear that Secret, we know that these guys can hit heads. That's not the issue. It's just knowing what to do and when needs information to be processed and then relayed to everybody, as this is Kendru's job as the in-game leader, as we all know. So having the Valkyrie in there, extremely important, has had an impact, but now you might want to consider a bit of a change. As the IQ, if it keeps on coming, it's going to do a bit more work than you think.
A moment to talk, to think, to get things a bit under wraps. Obviously, it was the 4-2 on the first turn of the half. So,
yeah,
if we still see a couple 2 rounds and a couple more rounds going in the favor of Secret, they can still pull themselves to OT at that point. I guess I'm not sure. I'm not 100% who starts on what half, but usually you'd start to ask on your attack. There might be a decision that whoever gets there first could regret if that was the one that was made. But we're still getting there. And what we've just had is a BDS round, is a BDS take on their attack. They found a bit of momentum, they found a bit of pace, and they applied it to the site quickly, something that we hadn't seen on their previous takes. They went a little bit slower. They went for a little bit more of a controlled approach and an execute in the final 30 seconds. Here, Shaiko was like, I want to be in Hall of Fame. And Renshiro went, cool, I'm going to drop the hatch. 2 kills. They took 2 very quick kills there with a very aggressive bout of pace that now you're looking at, is this going to continue for BDS?
And how do they do that? They drone, they get information, intel, and then they commit immediately on it. And it's quite possible there's their own teammates that are ferrying more info, as you can always go to your teammates' cams and check what's going on. Hold it until your players actually are in the right position. And there you go. You saw the 2 kills going in for the opening. 4v2 at the end, finished off for Team Secret. Couldn't really do much about it when the numbers are thin. And that's a big problem with the way that Penthouse plays, is that you need a bit of, bottom floor control, etc. But that is no longer the case in here. Gomfi still running the Valkyrie, and we're still going to have the IQ in response from Alems. Rafael rocking the Nomad yet once more. I'm going to be able to do some work with that, at least hoping to close off the rotations. It's going to be pretty important in case also, if there's a player on their cams, especially somebody on the bottom floor, it gives you some extra info. It's like, okay, expect somebody in this position as you're preparing for the dive-in for that final assault. So it's a lot more to IQ than just meets the eye.
Here's a bit of a change, and there's a bit of a moment where things didn't quite connect the way they wanted to. They're going to burn through this Aruni gate earlier on. They've obviously, we talked about this before, they were able to get the control of the bathroom, get the control of service hatch, but then couldn't get the control and the confidence on the swing to get the diffuser where they wanted it to. This time, Shaiko has taken up a different mantle. He's going to find himself on the service door and see if he can pull the fights out with a little bit more width, first of all, baiting and hoping that the first engagement goes towards his favor. Renshiro has a bit of a cross on the angle. They're trying to isolate that back line and take care of them sooner rather than later, as another counterclone goes all the way through. Renshiro gets the drop on 1. Alems gets the trade on the 2nd. Kendru at least finds Alems back from inside the computer and security corridor, but his position will be known and the pressure is going to start coming.
Could say even that kill on Alems might not be consequential at all if the IQ had ferried the right information through. Oh, the Shaiko kill as he swapped quickly on a Kendru, who stays alive. But Rafael, in the meantime, taking down Slevin. There's the diffuser planted, immediately finding the opening here. BDS to get to that match point. That is their hope. And Kendru left solo now as Playday take 1. Playday takes the other. Kendru is down, and that's BDS. Not really a reactive at all. Always really looking towards their screens and making sure they can lock up this entire game. They're on match point here, M. And Secret, they're going to need to get that paddle down.
That's it. Secret have already used their timeout. As I said, it's dangerous that BDS found a bit of momentum early on and found that round, because from that point, it was built upon pace. It was built upon having a direct line onto the site itself. They replicated that. They did that one more time onto service. They made sure that the push and the point was ignoring the rest of Secret's hold. They didn't try and busy themselves with attention paid elsewhere. And it's worked for them. And now it's down to Secret to sort of see if they can pull themselves in a little bit. The swap from the Valkyrie, the game that stopped working since IQ became a staple in the roster in the hands of a Lems. Fair enough, change off it. Instead, play against a game that is working. The burn of utility, the grenades, the flashes that are going through, the gates and everything else. Now you've got the Wamai doubled up with the Jaeger. You've got twice as much of that to irritate and slow down BDS, a team that's picking up steam.
So what is the game plan here for BDS? What do they try to pull against Team Secret, or setting up? And this should be with singular reinforcement here into the blue bar. Everything opened up with the rotation holes and all. Yeah, classic stuff. So far, double reinforcement. Okay, this is going to force the Habana to do quite a bit of work. It's a good reaction, in my opinion, just because, you know, hey, there's one hard breacher that they're bringing. It's probably going to be the Habana, which is what, you know, BDS have been bringing quite often. And, well, you can force them to do that. It might delay them enough. And Secret's job right now is to waste as much time as humanly possible and just keep on running around the map. You know, there's one set of X-Kairos. There might need to go to the opposite end, but what is that? Are you joking? Playday is so low on HP, but the smoke's thrown in. There's a grenade, and there's Packbull somehow still alive. Not sure he's able to get that smoke off, but my God, what a fumble and a tumble there.
I'm not even sure. Was Playday just unfortunately like...
Yeah,
I'm assuming he was lying down, but the ground, the way it kicks back up, that little lip that's a couple of inches that you see he stood on now, forced the model of his body to kick its legs up. For some reason, practicing yoga at a very inopportune time there, Playday, but hopefully it brings you the peace and the flexibility to try and find your way now in on the close corner towards the default plant. If the Habana had gone, that could have spelled massive disaster.
No question about it. Their impressive core strength coming out from the Habana of Playday. This is someone who works out every day. At least that's kind of what you'd hope with that sort of strength. But hey, what you gonna do about it here? BDS. They've lost all hopes of hard destruction, so they're going to need to find clear openings skill-wise, but it's Kendra that gets the first one on LMs and allowed to rotate through that center with nobody catching him or watching it, as all of BDS are kind of set outside. Only Renshiro is up the top floor in hookah. He's going to be watching and opening up holes. There's the trigger on the Surya gates. It looks like it's the final setup maybe before push, but you need that opening, BDS.
And Playday knows he cannot dance dangerously around that smoke. This is the person they're trying to force out next. As Packbull actually goes a bit closer, he's out of canisters, but a grenade over the top is going to hopefully try and cause some damage. It's Shaiko yet again driving for that open kill. Now he's going to hold the rotation. He puts pressure down as Playday is going to see if he can stick it. Suddenly, they've got to refill the room, but Playday pops up, drops one, and drops back down to go for the plant again. Shaiko and Rafal have the cover of 4 versus 2, but it's only really one. Sleben and Gomfy, the duo that's been able to do so much for Secret this game so far. Well, they're not going to be able to get one up as he gets ended behind the bar. Just superpower player Sleben left with the hope of Secret pulling some points here. BDS not just playing for the win, but desperately watching Heroic on the opposite side to see if they have a chance in keeping their place in EUL and fighting. Now as Sleben is going to see if he can drink and get the first, doesn't find it. BDS lock it off. Shaiko ends how he means to keep on, and they find the full 3 points.
I cannot believe that that's how this game ends, with Shaiko somehow surviving an entire magazine thrown at him. He literally took out the mag and chucked it at Shaiko at the same time and still couldn't deal with him. Just goes in.